All right, we're calling the meeting to order for this December 14th, 2021 PTA meeting of the North Springfield Elementary School PTA. So welcome everybody. Very excited to have everybody here for the last PTA meeting of 2021. So it's been a long couple of years, and as I've said to some people, I think we need to change the saying hindsight is 2020 because I don't ever want to look back on 2020 again. So excited to move forward into the new year. And I think a big part of that is also looking at social and emotional well-being, which is going to be our topic for tonight. So we'll turn things over in just a little bit. I want to get through a little bit of business to Ms. Fabian as well as Ms. Mrowka, and let them talk to you a little bit on that topic since they're much more skilled on that than I am. So just to review the agenda. So we've got President's report. We'll go through a couple of things. Got the approval of minutes, treasurer's report, and various committee reports as needed. Updates from Chad and Leslie. Then we've got, that should not say school board updates. That should say social, emotional well-being presentation. Sorry about that. Just copied it from last time. Then we've got the upcoming event for the new PTA, as well as some volunteer opportunities that are available that we'll go through at the end of the meeting. All right, so as far as the president's report goes, we're going to talk a little bit about teacher grants. So we were able to fund in some capacity every single one of the teacher grant requests that came in. So we're very happy to announce that, very pleased to announce that. You'll see a couple of them here. Just sort of ignore this column here. That's more of like an internal reference from the submission form. But Ms. DeVincentes, you'll see that even though the PTA funded zero, the administration said that they're going to be able to fund her request of $65. So that was, or up to $65. So this was funded, just not by the PTA. Same thing with Ms. Bernard and her classroom reading books. So that's going to be funded by the administration. Ms. Haywood has a subscription to make some video content that's safe for students called Safe Share. So let me go ahead and just hide some of the comments here. But for that one, we're going to be funding that one in the amount of up to $60. Ms. Stephen wanted some Ozo bots, and so we're funding that in the amount up to $190. She would also qualify for some additional funds from our what was it called, Amy? It's our club grant line item if she decides to create a like an after school STEM club for robotics club, something like that. Ms. C also had something to make more STEM appropriate activities, and we were funding that in the amount of up to $300. Ms. Metz has some activity games for the kids that's running around basically, so we're funding that up to $200. Eco Club. So Ms. Fawcett requested some seeds and some other packets, which were available last year and was sent home to each one of the kids. So we are not funding it out of this line item for the teacher grants because there is a club grant, as I'd mentioned for Ms. Stevens. So we have a club grant that we're funding this for Eco Club. Fifth grade team, well, we've got some water bottles that they wanted to give all the kids water bottles since the water fountains no longer function in the COVID era. So we are not funding that monetarily. However, we are taking some of our inventory from the Spiritware, and we're going to just donate those water bottles to Miss Thibodeau. And it's a lot more economic than the estimate that they had here to replenish those out of our Spiritware line item. So we did try to get a little creative in how we fund some of these things. The second grade team, they're focusing on wellness, which I'm sure Ms. Fabian and Ms. Mrowka are very happy to hear. So with that, it's $250, up to $250 that we're going to be funding. And that is for, basically she's saying that some of the kids have a hard time sitting still, being that they're masked and things like that. So giving them some little devices that they can use at their desks to kind of keep them occupied a little bit. So it'll be a good fit for them. And then Miss Andrews Pastor, she had a request for assistance with a field trip. She was unable to get a physical quote for that from the company that she was approaching, so she had to withdraw her request. But we're encouraging her, of course, to apply for that again in the spring. Possibly. So the total amount that we funded monetarily was $1,000 from the teacher grant line item, and that is exactly what we budgeted. but we also did fund up to $180 for Eco Club from that grant, from that line item. So super thrilled to be supporting our teachers as we continue to do every single year. We'll also have another round of grants that will be available in the spring. I don't know if Amy's on or not. Amy, anything to add for the teacher grants? Or Lauren, anybody?
I think Amy is at Holmes this evening.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Any other officers or anything to add to the teacher grants, Jen? Nope. Okay. All right. Let us move on then. All right. National PTA School of Excellence. So with that program, let me close that out here. All right. So as you may recall, we administered a survey to apply, which is part of the requirements for the School of Excellence program. That's just a national designation by the National PTA that shows that we're doing good things for the school, essentially. So what the baseline survey was requesting was evaluating questions based on these broad categories that we had here, which the survey was available to everybody. And we took and scored it this way. If the unknown was a response, you got 0 points. You got 1 point for never, 2 points for frequent, sometimes 3 points for frequently, 4 points for always. And then we took the scores and we used 3 as the cutoff point. So anything below 3 automatically got flagged by turning the cell to red. And anything over 3 for the number of unknowns also got flagged for red. So the one that we decided to focus on, because it had the most number of unknowns and it also had the lowest score overall, was our school involves parents in planning for student transitions like middle school, high school, post-secondary, careers, etc. So since this was developed by National PTA, that's why high school, post-secondary are there. So what we wanted to do with this one is we decided to focus on, this is the summary from the School of Excellence program here. So we wanted to establish a school transition kit to assist students and families with various academic transitions during the student's life cycle. Kindergarten parents often feel a bit lost when starting at the school for the first time, while 5th grade parents do not always have clear expectations or understandings of their options when transitioning to a 6th grade at either the districted middle school or the local advanced academic placement AAP program center school, such as Canterbury Woods, where 6th grade is considered elementary school. Additionally, several 3rd grade parents do not always have a strong understanding of their options when their child tests into the AAP. Parents can have either their children keep their children at North Springfield Elementary School for a local level 4 AAP curriculum, or they can matriculate their child into the regional level 4 AAP center school. The results of the baseline survey demonstrated that parents do not have a strong understanding of how the school involves them in the transition process. Unknown was the most common response to question number 8 of the survey, and this question has had the lowest average score of the 20 questions. Our decision to make this goal was data-driven, and our work this year will reflect the theme of the 2021-22 strategic plan, building resilient individuals through engaging collaboration, as we develop the toolkit to provide the school with a solid resource that helps parents make informed decisions easily and ultimately fosters student success. So that is the toolkit that we're going to work on. We've subsequently decided to add another component to it and focus on military families as well. So welcoming them as they transition over. For that one, I may reach out to Ravensworth Elementary, since they have a similar program to welcome military families and assist them with the transition, just to sort of see what they're doing. In terms of the kindergartners, we have a couple of parents who have stepped up and volunteered from this year's kindergarten class to assist with that. For the transition to Canterbury Woods for the 3rd graders going into AAP, we have identified we've identified 2 parents that are going to assist, one of them being my wife. So she made the very strong, compelling case to have a local level 4 designation, and tried to get as many parents to stay at North Springfield when they moved into 3rd grade as possible. But also there's one parent who has a current child at North Springfield that's below 3rd grade, and also has a child that is transferred over to Canterbury Woods for the AAP program. So I think that'll be a good complement between the two of them. We're also going to have some parents to assist that maybe have kids at North Springfield still, but also have kids that are over at Holmes to assist with that transition. So that's what the school transition kit is going to look like. So before we move on to the next part of the president's report, are there any questions about the School of Excellence program, the survey, or the school transition success kit? Nope. All right. Yes, Jen, you're muted.
Question. Yeah, I was trying to look for the hand raise. Just to piggyback on that, I also had a phone call today from Holmes, from the parent liaisons at Holmes. We only have one parent liaison now, but they were wanting to work with us on that transition for non-English parents, speaking parents. So whoever your person is that's part of that toolkit, I'd be happy to give them that information and work with them on that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So they asked me if I had someone they could set up a parent meeting with to help those parents transition to middle school, and they were going to do a special presentation for them because oftentimes they're also kind of lost with that transition piece.
Okay. Let's see. Holmes.
So whoever that liaison is between that 5th grade parent, we can all kind of connect there.
Okay. I'll keep that. I'll definitely keep you in mind for that one and connect you with them whenever. I don't think we've had those identified. Christy said she's going to help out with part of it, but yeah, we haven't had anybody specifically identified. All right, Leslie, thank you for answering that question. Just for the purposes of the recording here, there's a question in the chats. Will 5th graders visit Holmes as a field trip? And Ms. Malkowski said that this is typically done in the spring, and at this point we aren't sure, but hopefully. Okay. All right. So any other questions about the school transition kit? Okay. All right, let's move on then. Liability insurance. Just a quick thing on this one. The community use entity of FCPS is requesting that we amend our liability insurance policy to include the school board members as covered insured individuals or covered insured body. So when we go to request space for the school for like PTA events, they are covered as part of the policy. So we're in the process of amending our liability insurance to satisfy those requirements. And Chad, anything to add on that one?
No, I think you and I kind of covered that. I think just so everybody knows, it's kind of, most schools will go ahead and just put these on the calendar dates for the PTA, and there's never really been an issue. In fact, I mean, the people they had named on there were going back probably what, 5 years, 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
So I know it was a very strange request, but Ken has navigated it very well, and we'll be able to update that this week probably, or next week.
So working on it. All right, last thing on my report, we got the bylaws and the organizational structure form. So this past year, the Virginia PTA decided to make a big change. So in years past, each school's PTA had their own set of bylaws that were required to be updated every 5 years. Fortunately for our year this year, we were supposed to renew our bylaws and have them submitted to the Virginia PTA this year, but Virginia PTA decided to make the change that said we are going to have one set of uniform bylaws that stretch across all Virginia PTAs. And to localize it, there is an organizational structure form. So I can put this in the chats, but this is the local unit form essentially. So the entire, it's 15 pages of 15 pages of bylaws. So from this page, from PTA mission all the way to the very end is going to be consistent among all the different PTAs. And again, I'll put that in the chats. The one that is individualized for the school is this first page here, which talks about some things like our name, principal's name, superintendent. So what is our school system? Who are the elected officers? How long are they elected into office? Who serves on the executive committee? Who serves on the board? And then how many times do we meet? What is the quorum and nominations and elections? So all of this entire form used to be its own incorporated set into the bylaws. So now it's a lot easier for PTAs to update this, and this form just gets updated annually, whereas the National PTA just updates the uniform bylaws each year. So it's not incumbent upon each individual school. So that said, here is our organizational structure form. So this should be now 14. Okay, so we are requesting that it'll be approved today. It should have been approved actually at the beginning of the year. I overlooked this, unfortunately, so this is why I'm bringing it to membership now. So local unit, North Springfield Elementary School PTA. This is our tax ID number. City, state, and zip, Springfield, Virginia 22151. Our principal is Chad McRae. We're in Fairfax County. Scott Brabrand is our superintendent. We're in the Northern Virginia District and the Virginia Council PTA. This is the number, this is our insurance carrier and our policy number. Annual dues are going to be 5, 10, or 16, depending on the member. And if they ask us for clarification on that, $5 is for the teachers, $10 for an individual, and then $16 for a family membership. We have a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary-elect. We also have a VP of membership, VP of fundraising, VP of enrichment. Each are elected to 1-year terms. And per our previous bylaws, which were never really changed, we have 2 consecutive terms are allowed. So essentially, like Lauren, for example, can serve as secretary for 2 1-year terms, but then she cannot serve longer than that unless we would like to make a change. But I'll leave that to Jen Delboy when she becomes president to consider. All right, so who serves on the executive committee? So it's the elected officers and the principal. The number of meetings per year, we have 10 meetings per year. So that's going to be January, or well, it's going to be September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and June. 3 days notice for regular meetings, 1 day notice for special meetings. The executive board is going to be all the elected officers, principals, standing committee chairs that are serving for 1 year. Same thing here. We meet 10 times a year, 3 days for a regular notice, 1 day for a special notice. Our quorum is, quorum 10 members or 50% of the membership, whichever is less. The meetings are a minimum of 3, 5 to 7. So like I said, we have got 10 meetings that we try to do. The regular meetings, 7 days notice, 3 days for a special for the membership. And then for nominations, we typically have the officer elections that are in June, which means that the nominations have to be 2 months before the election. Our nominating committee has to be at least 3 members. And then as far as the officer transition, it's the last day of the school year or the last day of the fiscal year. So this is our organizational structure form. Are there any questions about that before I ask for a motion to approve this? Nope, no questions. Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the local unit organizational structure form as proposed?
This is Jen, I motion.
All right. So Jen motions. Is there a second?
Dan seconds.
Dan seconds. All right. Is there any discussion? All right. Let me check the chats. No discussions in chats. All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Or raise your hand. That works too. All right, all those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, the ayes of the chair, the ayes have it. So the organizational structure form is approved. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn the screen over to Lauren to pull up the minutes and let me make you able to share. Okay, if you can pull up the minutes and then we can go through those and approve those.
Okay. It is not sharing, is it?
No, I changed the permissions. You should be able to share it.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so I'm having issues tonight. I'm not sure why. I have no share button that is normally right there.
Okay.
It's about par for the course this week with technology. So can you pull them up from the general drive, Ken?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, Ken's gonna practice a slow scroll. So not much to report from last month. Family Science Night, School of Excellence, which we talked about, art framing, which happened. Hoping for still bingo and ST Mathathon. Membership drive went well. We have celebrated all parties who participated and our at the time spelling bee update. Is there a motion to approve meeting minutes from last month?
I move to approve the minutes. This is Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. Who was that?
Karen.
Oh, thanks, Karen. All right. Any discussion? Let me do a quick little correction on her name. All right. Any okay, no discussion. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right. The motion is approved. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, let me pull up Amy's report really quickly. Okay. So since Amy is not here this evening, we still have to give the treasurer's report. So let's see. 1 second. All right, I have to collapse the screen a little. Okay, so a couple things with the treasurer's report. The big highlights before we go through here. We did pay our Virginia PTA dues. So the dues are tied. We have to pay a certain portion of our membership revenue goes towards Virginia PTA dues, which then also filter down to the national dues. We received a good amount between Amazon Associates and Amazon Smiles, $120, which we'll go through in a second. Flocking, we had $60. Restaurant night, Papa John's. We earned money from Spiritware, which we started selling on our website. We had art framing, and we had donation for the holiday breakfast. So just a quick thing. You can see the revenue for this particular period here. So this is from November 1st to November 30th. You can see here that the income came in. We paid out the PTA, which is why we have a net budget here. So we were almost at our year-to-date budget. So if you look at the year-to-date, we were 517. We said we were going to finish at 665. So we're not doing too bad. We're pretty good on that. Amazon Associates, Amazon Smile, we talked about those. Let's see, we did have some donations that came in. And flocking. So flocking, we are actually exceeding what our goal was. So we're $10 over our goal, which is great. Had some money from our member hub kickbacks, which are some items that are for sale. And we put the line item for Mathathon in there, which will be sometime in January. Restaurant night, we made a little bit of revenue from there. So we're still far behind where we were hoping to be, but hopefully that'll pick up in the new year, especially with spring coming down the road at some point. Spiritware, we made some good sales on there. So we're halfway to our goal for Spiritware. And art framing, we made some revenue, which is great. We didn't budget anything for that. So $62 more than what we budgeted. And let's see, a few other things. $175 for the enrichment. That is our registration for the spelling bee. So we're pulling the spelling bee funds out of the enrichment subsidy, and then we'll work on having some classes for the spring and the winter. Let's see. We had a donation for Family Science Night, which was great. We weren't anticipating that. The teacher fall grant line items, that will start having some expenditures in the next couple of weeks. Insurance, I'm not 100% sure whether there'll be any expense that's incurred by changing our policy to include the Fairfax County School Board. And let's see, we will have some teacher appreciation. I'll let Karen talk about that in a little bit, but there's going to be some funds that'll be expended from that for the holidays. So is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report as is? We are kind of closed out here at closed out with $7,500, a little over $7,500. So is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
This is Karen. I motion.
Okay, any seconds?
This is Jen. I motion.
Any discussion?
Dan seconds.
All right, so multiple seconds. All right, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The abstentions. All right, the treasurer's report is approved. Okay, so what do we got next on the agenda? Next on the agenda is...
Sorry, Ken. Ms. Mrowka, can you speak a little bit about what you wrote in the chat that counselors are visiting homes in January?
Yeah, let me unmute. Yeah, so we have started that process with counselors, and they are coming. I have 2 dates. So they'll be visiting our students January 10th or 18th. So we haven't finalized a date, but we'll have that date finalized by Friday. So as of right now, we will most likely not have that field trip planned. A lot of it has to do with SOLs, because the time that we go, SOLs now go up to the end of the year. So it's just kind of a disruption to the school. But what the school does do now instead of that is they do a jump start, and they do a day where the kids come in before. But when the counselors visit in January, that process of filling out course registration forms will begin. So that's all very soon, right after the holiday.
Okay, great.
Okay. Are there any committee reports that anyone wants to share?
Nothing from membership.
Okay. Anything quickly about the spelling bee?
I was going to say, yeah, Karen join in, but we have over 20 kids registered. We are looking forward to it. We have confirmed our pronouncer volunteer, Miss Stephen, who we are grateful for. We are open to judges, at least 3 members of the community, teachers, parents, grandparents, anyone who lives here and wants to volunteer. And yeah, Karen, anything else?
There's going to be a training for pronouncers and judges in the beginning of January. So we'll be posting it on the Facebook page just to try and promote interest in that. So if anybody is interested in becoming a judge, they can go ahead and get signed up for that training as well. And I just sent out all the emails today to all the parents that are registered for the spelling bee with the welcome letter, the rules for the spelling bee, the word study guide with definitions, and the words of the champions. So they should have all their materials now if anybody that's registered.
Awesome. And how many people do we have again?
22 students, I believe, as of
That's
tonight.
fantastic. And just as a reminder for everybody, this is in coordination with the Scripps National Spelling Bee. So the winner goes on to the Fairfax County PTA Spelling Bee, and the winner of that then automatically goes to the national one, correct?
Yep, that's
All
correct.
right. So yeah, super excited about that.
Karen,
All right.
Karen, if anybody wanted to volunteer, how do they go about that? Just send an email to.
Yeah, send an email to the NSES@gmail.com. And I'll post that. We'll post that in the Facebook announcement as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Mr. McRae, Ms. Malkowski, your turn. And then we get into our presentation.
Well, we are, first of all, we can't believe how fast we've gotten to the holiday break. It's unbelievable. We are going to be putting out here, we decided consciously to wait until in January, but we're going to be putting out some just reminder information for like kiss and ride, arrival and dismissal, because and we completely understand that everybody is trying to get in and out as quickly as possible, but we've kind of started noticing some trends or some things that are people are doing, not necessarily, you know, in a bad way, but it's causing us a little bit of angst in that there is some potential that, you know, either an adult could get hit by a car, or, you know, worse yet, not that it's worse yet, it's bad if anybody does, but, you know, we certainly don't want any kids putting any kids in danger. So we've had safety and security come out. We're going to be increasing some signage and working on some of the things we can't do until it warms up, because we are going to make the driveway a one-way directional loop, because currently down the backside it's a two-way with arrows going both ways on the pavement. And so safety and security is going to help us reorganize some of the signage and directional pieces, which will, you know, add to safety. And then you know, we're going to kind of work to increase our organizational piece of, you know, kiss and ride and drop off in the morning also. So there'll be some changes coming. And after the first of the year, we'll send that out to everybody, you know, the whole school community, just as a heads up, FYI, and, you know, help us with that venture. We're really excited about our sing-along on Friday, and it's still with protocols, we can't get everybody in the gym at the same time. So we're doing it at the same time and projecting it into the classrooms, and the kids will be singing and dancing from within their classrooms. And we got a couple other little add-ons that will be myself, Ms. Malkowski, Ms. Metz, Mr. Kimball will be going around the classrooms and doing some fun things for the kids during that time also. We're really excited, and thank you again for breakfast that, you know, on Friday for the teachers. They're going to love that, and that'll be a really nice treat for them for sure. Leslie, I think that was really it. We do have AAP, you know, referrals, and that piece of it are coming up, and we you know, if there's still questions, let us know. Or tomorrow, yeah. the deadline for referral is tomorrow, but then go ahead and put the packets together after the first of the year. But what else? Anything else I'm missing there, Ms. Malkowski?
No, I just want to say I hope everybody has a wonderful break. Give your kids a nice break from school. Just play games, have fun, read. Let them enjoy the break. We all need it. And we really appreciate everything you guys have done for us. And I think we should turn it over to our lovely presenters.
I second that.
All those in favor, you don't have to say aye.
Lauren, were you asking for names in regards for the notes?
Talking away.
No, I think I had emailed a bunch. I had like 5 teachers that had volunteered. I emailed, but maybe
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
I didn't get that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll resend it.
okay.
Awesome. Well, yes, we are very, very excited to welcome Ms. Fabian as well as Ms. Mrowka to talk about social emotional well-being. And again, I'll turn the screen over to you as I've talked enough.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to let Ms. Fabian share our screen. And I'm going to start by last year when we did our presentation at PTA. First of all, thank you guys for having us. It's very important that we're all working together because these are your children that we're working with, and it's that partnership of it's all being together to get them where we all want them, to be. But last year a lot of our presentation was on what you could do as parents to help them at home, because you were really the ones that were having to support them. And so we kind of steered that presentation towards what you could do as a parent. This year, we're very fortunate to be back in the building. And unfortunately, we can't welcome you guys back in the building like we usually do. So it seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect, probably on your part. On my part, it feels like there is, because you're not in the building seeing what's going on. So we kind of took a different route on, we were just going to present to you what we're doing in the building for SEL, which is social emotional learning. So you kind of have a good idea of what's going on. If you hear other parents, if they're asking questions, you can answer those for them too. So our guiding point, what we start with when we're making our plan for the year every year, is our mission statement. So this is the mission statement that we developed at North Springfield years ago. And I'll let you just take a moment to read that. Okay. And that's what really steers us. And we want our school to be fun. We want it to be collaborative. We want it to be welcoming, and we want our kids to be responsible. So Kat, you can change to the next slide. So basically, how do we do this? So that's what guides us. And so we strive to reach that goal really through tier 1 instruction. So we instruct kids on 3 different levels. You may have heard this before, but there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And that's both in academic and in social emotional learning. Tier 1 is for all students. So they all get this. So the majority of our support for our students are for all kids. And we support that mission statement by our teachers are all trained, or we're actually trying to get them all trained in responsive classroom. And I'll go over that a little bit, what that actually means. Our classroom guidance lessons, and I'll go over what we do, how often we see your kids, those sorts of things. Our SEL lessons, those are embedded in our Pog skills, are embedded into our classroom lessons, not only just the social emotional lessons, they're also embedded into the academic lessons as well. And then there's school-wide activities and programs, and we want to strengthen that. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Okay, so classroom guidance lessons are taught by myself. Last year, I was fortunate enough to have one other counselor, but we lost that position. So I do notice that we're doing a lot more tier 1 instruction. So fortunately, I've been able, so I'm not pulling as many small groups right now. Now it's only half the year. But I have been able to increase the number of times I go into the classroom. So right now in kindergarten, I'm in there every week. So there's a lesson taught to your students every single week on different types of things, like how to deal with emotions, those sorts of things. These are the curriculums that I use. I use iCareCat. You can search, you can search these things on the internet. You can kind of see what they're all about. If you have a kindergarten student, or you ever have, you probably know those care rules because we talk about them all year. So basically just teaching children to be caring individuals and building that foundation. We do portrait of the graduate lessons, which I'll kind of go over that in a few minutes in more detail, and then those SEL lessons. 1st through 5th grade, right now I'm seeing also every other week. And so in those grades, those are the curriculums that I do. So I use different curriculums for each grade, so that basically we have a lot of kids that are with us through kindergarten through 5th grade. And so my goal is for them to, when they leave us in 5th grade, that they've had all of these curriculums. And so we often, when we're in 4th grade, we kind of go back and say, do you remember, what CareCat said? They can usually tell you what CareCat said, and how to be a caring person. What Kelso did, what was about the Jelly Bean Jamboree, Howard B. Wigglebottom. So I was a teacher before I was a counselor, so I do a lot of teaching in the school because that's, my heart is still there as well. So I do feel like that tier 1 instruction for kids is so important to them getting this foundation so that they have it. Okay. So responsive classroom. So our school is a responsive classroom school. And responsive classroom, basically, there's 6 guiding principles that guide that. The first is that we teach social and emotional skills, and we feel like they're just as important as the academic skills. Second one is how we teach is just as important as what we teach. Great cognitive growth occurs through social interactions. The fourth guiding principle behind responsive classroom is how we work together to create a safe, joyful, inclusive environment is important. What we know and believe about our students informs our expectations and reactions and attitudes. And then the sixth one is partnering with families, knowing them, valuing their contributions is just as valuable as knowing our students themselves. So we most all of our teachers are now trained in responsive classroom. We have a training that's coming up in January where we're going to train the teachers that don't have the full training. So we implement this in the classroom. You can also read more about this on Fairfax County's website. They have a whole department about responsive classroom that kind of goes into detail. But we are a responsive classroom school. So those are our beliefs. Another thing, when students graduate from Fairfax County schools, one of the big things now is that they want them to leave Fairfax County schools with these particular skills. So the skill, and they call them POG skills. So you hear them refer to that. The skills are goal-directed. They're goal-directed and resilient individuals. They're all collaborators. They're creative and critical thinkers. They're ethical and global citizens, and then they're good communicators. They feel like that's the foundation kids need in order to succeed in life. So we start teaching these skills in kindergarten. Classroom teachers teach these skills, and I kind of piggyback on these things with lessons as well to make sure they know these, and we're making sure. These skills are also embedded into academic lessons as well as your social emotional lessons that are done with kids. And then another thing, this has been a big year for that social emotional learning. It's been a big emphasis. So Fairfax County, which I'm sure you remember getting the letter, there was a lot of controversy over this. So we did begin to implement a self-screener that would give us some data of how a child feels. The questions were released for parents to see. You could have opted your child in or out of that. But we did just receive that data back, and parents will be getting those results in February. So we're still trying to dig into the data and kind of make sense of what we got back and kind of see where we're going to go with that data. We're also that was just for grades 3 through 5, but we are going to do the next screening window is January 25th to February 11th. So all students will be given the screener then, 3 through 5 will be given it again. So we'll look at the differences in those results.
Hey, Jen.
Yes.
Sorry. Just remember that actually 3 through 5 are not going to be tested in the middle of the year. They got to the spring. It's just kindergarten through second.
Oh, okay. I thought they were. Okay. So the next window is for K through 2. Correct. Okay. So the next window, K through students will be screened, and they'll be screened directly by their teacher. So the screening is going to look a little bit different. So another, like I said, the emphasis this year is on that, a huge emphasis is on kind of bridging that gap, and what are we going to do for kids that really need some extra support in social emotional, and we feel like everybody does. I mean, everybody was out for a year and a half of school. And so we developed a plan, all schools developed a plan. It's called your ESSER plan. And that's what's guiding us this year. We use data from some previous data we used the school climate survey, which was actually done, Leslie, when was that done? 2 years ago, it was pre-COVID.
It was our last full year of school. So it was that 18, 19.
So, okay.
Yeah, and that was something that was done every other year for like 4 or 5 years. 6
Okay,
years.
so that was part of the data we used to kind of guide our plan. So one of the things that when we looked at the school climate survey, 79% of our parents indicated that they thought our school was welcoming, and that's not good enough. You know, we don't want it to be 79%. So we're really going to work on trying to form a better partnership with you guys, try to plan some things so we want all parents to feel welcome in our school. We want them all to feel like they have a voice. And we want them to feel just as welcome as our students do. We also looked at the responsive classroom piece of it. And a big part of the responsive classroom is holding a morning meeting and closing meetings, just to start your day calmly, and to start your day by sharing that communication piece, what they're going to do for the day, and building that sense of community. And because it's been a tough year getting back, and this, you know, it's just hard to fit it all in. We have kids coming in late. We have, you know, our schedules are a little bit different. So it's hard to fit in. It's been actually really hard to fit in that morning meeting, but we had 62% of the teachers that indicated that they held the morning meeting 5 times a week, but we want everybody to make sure that they're doing that. And they were, but it was just done a little bit differently because this year's, so our goal is to get back to doing things exactly like we were before. So kids are able to benefit from that. And then the closing meeting is just a way to close out your day. So once again, it's building that sense of community, that calmness before you go home, that reflection on what we learned, those sorts of things. So these are the 2 things that we're really going to be working on this year. And before we go on to tier 2 and tier 3, we formed a wellness committee at our school. And I know I talked to Jen, I may have talked to Kim, but I know I talked to Jen about, we want at least 2 parent volunteers to be part of that wellness committee, so we can come up with what we're going to do, like for our kids. So I know we want to plan the fun fair at the end of the year. I think Leslie talked to you guys about this at the last meeting, that we actually have some money to support that, but we want PTA to be involved, and we want your voices and, you know, you to be part of that planning. So if we could get 2 parent volunteers to be part of our wellness committee, to plan assemblies, to plan some of those things, to kind of begin to bridge that gap again and make sure that parents will welcome in our school. And like I said, how to have a voice in what it is that we're doing. The other thing, I feel like I left out one thing there. The assemblies, and then Leslie, can you help me? What else am I trying to think of?
The spring fair, that was the other, right? You want the same.
Fun fair, the assemblies, and then really just what we're doing for the kids. So you would be part of that committee, and you would, you know, you can kind of speak and have a voice there. Oh, I know. One other thing we had talked about, we've had 1 committee meeting just to kind of get it out there. And I did tell them that we were going to get 2 representatives from PTA to help us with this too. When we'd like to increase the number of people with you guys that are going to PTA meetings. I feel like it'd be very beneficial for our PTA, you know, the more people we can get involved, the more information that's shared with everybody, the more we're all working together. So possibly, if not this year, because I know they're not in person this year, but when we're looking at next year, maybe planning a student event at each PTA meeting, getting teachers involved, you know, so that we're all there and you guys have more participants in your meetings as well. And then, so that's what we do for tier 1. So I'm going to let Katerina talk a little bit about tier 2 and tier 3 students, and how we support those.
Thanks. So I think I've met most of you, but I'm Katerina. I'm the school psychologist at North Springfield. And like Jen said, we have all the tier 1 supports that are for all students. Sometimes some students may need a little bit extra beyond that tier 1 support. So we do have some tier 2 and tier 3 supports that we have through school, such as like small groups that myself, Jen, or Tracy, the social worker, may run. We have individual counseling for kids that need that. We're going to be trying to put some before and after school programs in place as part of that wellness committee as well. And then we're also going to be starting up our mentoring program for kiddos that just need that extra adult in their lives to connect with. And, just to kind of plug Tracy and myself, think back a long time ago, school psychologists just used to kind of test and look at special education services, but, I'm definitely available as a support to teachers and students. I'm on the NSES committee, and, Tracy and I also want to definitely open up the dialogue with parents. If you ever have, questions about, your kiddos. I know as we go through COVID, like sometimes things come up, and obviously the teacher is a great place to start, but if there's something that you want to talk with us about, or get some feedback about outside resources or outside counseling, like what would we recommend? We definitely have a lot of those resources that we can share with you. And Tracy couldn't be with us tonight. She's our school social worker. Often people say Tracy and Katerina in the same sentence because people see us together, but we are shared between North Springfield and another school. So usually there's at least one of us there pretty much every day except Thursday. So we kind of help Ms. Mrowka with, kind of helping with that SEL support as needed. And Tracy's also a really great resource. If you have questions again about outside resources or anything like that, we're just a phone call or an email away, and we're happy to consult and just chat. We do support, as I said, kind of that tier 1 SEL. We also support the special education process. So we kind of have that whole picture, and we can definitely help you if you're not sure, where your concerns lie. We're definitely always available to talk through that with you. So that's our SEL team. We can definitely take any questions if you have questions. Ms. Mrowka, was there anything else we missed that we wanted to add? You're on mute. You're muted.
That's usually a good thing when I'm muted. No, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer your questions about what's going on in school, anything in particular. I don't know if I can answer everything, but we can try. And if I can't, I always tell my parents, if I can't answer the question, you can call me and ask me anything. Usually we can find out the answer for you. So we don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of resources. Fairfax County is huge. There's, we're connected with other counselors, other just social workers in the system. So we can find an answer for you, and we're always happy to help. So we're open to any questions you may have now. And I see Lauren, and I don't have last names up here. Okay, Lauren, Thorne, Karen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to put you guys down.
I'll send you an email as well with Lauren on it, since we do a lot of stuff together.
Okay, yep. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for being my babysitter.
They're a spelling bee team.
Any questions? No questions. Thank you.
So Krista says no questions, but thank you for all your amazing support over the years.
No, thank you. You guys are wonderful parents to work with. We certainly appreciate it. You make our jobs easy, that's for sure. Or easier. I'm not gonna say easy.
No questions for them?
That's good.
All right. Okay, well, just for the record, we know that Miss Fabian's favorite school is North Springfield, so thank you. We appreciate that. And that can go in the minutes too. All right, any questions? No questions? No. Can you talk a little bit about the spring fair and like what kind of just so people can start thinking and putting their heads around that?
So we will talk about that in that wellness committee. Honestly, we haven't even started thinking about what it's going to look like, but we want it just to be fun. We were trying to think of some activities that we could do, but we want all students to come. we do have ESSER money for funding, so we can, hopefully get the materials we need. Normally, when we do these things, we're asking PTA to sponsor it and to give us. So the cool thing here is that this year with that federal funding, we were given money, and as long as the money's given back directly to help kids and to the kids, then we can do things like that. So honestly, I don't have a lot of information, Ken. We don't have a date set. That's some of the things we want in January when we have our next wellness meeting, to get those things on the calendar. And then if we have that liaison that works with PTA, then you can get that information back very quickly as well.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. No questions. Right. Well, we definitely thank you both so much for your time. Great information. Somebody messaged me kind of privately saying there's great information, and we really appreciate everything that you do for kids, because there's a lot of things that obviously we can see the changes in the classroom when they're learning, coming home and talking about things. We don't always get to see the emotional work that gets done at the school, except for when they're a little bit calmer than they normally are sometimes. So greatly appreciate that. The Scros mentioned that they're happy to help in the spring with a spring event. So I will keep that in mind as well. So have you down there. So I guess that's a good segue here, just to sort of talk about just kind of some final thoughts in terms of the volunteer opportunities, and we'll come back to the next one. So art framing is going to be a short-term commitment. Actually, I think we can cross that one out. We already did that. Yeah, so hey, that's even shorter time. So any volunteers for that? No. Okay. Movie night is going to be that will actually be sometime in January. So that'll be a short-term commitment because there's only that one night and maybe a little bit of hours leading up to it. In-person fundraisers for the spring, we're really working on with our VP of fundraising. So that'll be a short-term commitment depending on which event that you want to volunteer for. We definitely do need a restaurant coordinator, though. That is an ongoing thing. That's just to reach out to the various different restaurants so we can find a night where they will be willing to do some profit sharing with us, and we encourage people to then go to that particular restaurant so we can get some of the funds. I know there are several restaurants we've worked with in the past, and we definitely could use a restaurant coordinator if anybody's interested in that. Late spring, nominating committee chair, that'll be a moderate commitment. The mathathon, that's going to be either short-term or moderate, depending on what the needs are. And then we'll also put in the spring fair. And what would you say the spring fair is going to be? I would say that is probably more on the moderate. Maybe we'll say moderate. Okay, so those are some of the volunteer opportunities that are available. Hopefully you'll be able to step up and help out with those. And let's see, and the wellness committee, yes. So wellness committee. All right, and Ms. Mrowka, what kind of commitment would that be?
That would be a meeting at least once a month, and then we're also going to ask them to chair something on the committee, most likely the school assemblies.
So I'm going to say moderate then.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. And last thing, our next meeting is going to be January 11th, 2022, first meeting of January, and we're going to be having somebody talking about Virginia 529 college savings plan. So mark your calendars for that. You won't need to bring out your checkbooks, but we definitely hope that you're able to participate in that. So with that said, I will ask, unless there are any other comments that anybody wants to share, I will ask for a motion of unanimous consent to adjourn for the evening.
It's Lauren, I motion.
Okay, and without any objections, it is so ordered, and we are now adjourned. All right, look at that. We got done in 1 hour.